These 6 things. Right here on this table. Every single one of them came out of a dumpster or a back room of a store near you, and together they replace over $200 worth of garden supplies. I have been using all 6 for 3 years. My garden produces more than it ever did when I was spending money at the garden center, and not one person at any of those stores ever said no when I asked. By the end of this video, you're going to know exactly what to ask for, exactly which stores to walk into, and exactly what to do with everything you bring home. Let us get into it. Number 1. The 5-gallon food-grade bucket. Go to any grocery store that has an in-house bakery. Walk up to the bakery counter and say 4 words. Do you have buckets? That is the entire conversation. These stores go through frosting, pickles, sauces, and fillings constantly. Every one of those ingredients ships in a 5-gallon plastic bucket. Once it is opened commercially, they cannot reuse it. So it goes in the back and eventually in the trash. Most bakeries will hand you 2 or 3 on the spot. Some stores keep a stack specifically because people ask. The key phrase when you ask is food grade. These buckets held food, which means the plastic is safe for growing anything you plan to eat. Here is what one 5-gallon bucket does in a garden that most people do not know. It is the exact right volume for one indeterminate tomato plant. Not approximate, exact. Commercial container growers figured this out decades ago. The root system of a full-size tomato fills a 5-gallon bucket perfectly without circling or crowding. You get the same production as an in-ground plant with 0 permanent bed space. Drill drainage holes in the bottom. Fill with good potting mix. 1 plant per bucket, move them around to follow sun. Stack them to save space. Use extras for mixing compost, hauling soil, storing seed starting mix, or collecting rainwater off your roof. A 5-gallon bucket at the hardware store costs $4 to $5. You are walking out of the bakery with them for free. Number 2. Cardboard. And this one changes how you think about weeding forever. Appliance stores, furniture stores, bike shops, and the receiving docks of any large retailer break down enormous sheets of thick double-walled cardboard every single day. Refrigerators, washing machines, sofas, everything ships in it. They break it down, they stack it, and they either recycle it or throw it away. Walk around to the back of any appliance store and ask. Every single time they will say yes, and most of the time they will thank you for taking it. Here is what cardboard does that nothing you can buy replicates. Lay it flat on the ground, overlap the edges so no light gets through, wet it down completely so it conforms to the soil, and pile 4 to 6 inches of compost or wood chips on top. You can plant directly into that top layer the same day. The cardboard underneath smothers every weed and every grass plant beneath it by blocking light completely. Within a few weeks, everything underneath is dead. Over the following months, the cardboard breaks down entirely into the soil, feeds the earthworms, and adds organic matter. No digging, no herbicide. No landscape fabric that costs money and breaks down into microplastics after 3 years. This is how you build a new garden bed on top of grass in one afternoon. No renting a sod cutter, no tilling, no back-breaking removal work. Cardboard, compost, done. Come back in 2 weeks and plant. Number 3. Spent coffee grounds. And the thing most people get wrong about these is going to surprise you. A busy coffee shop produces 30 to 50 pounds of spent grounds every single day. Almost all of it goes in the trash. Walk into any independent cafe and ask if they set grounds aside. Most will say yes immediately. Starbucks ran a formal program for years called Grounds for Your Garden specifically because the demand was there. Bring your own container, make it easy for them. And most cafes will have a bag ready for you every week without you even asking twice. Now here is what almost everyone gets wrong. Spent coffee grounds are not highly acidic. That is the myth. The acidity in coffee is water-soluble and it goes into your cup. What is left behind is close to pH neutral, between 6 and 6.5, which means you can use coffee grounds far more broadly than the old advice of only use them for blueberries and azaleas. In a compost pile, they are a green material that heats the pile and speeds up decomposition. Mixed into heavy clay soil, they improve drainage and add organic matter. Spread as a thin top dressing, they suppress certain fungal diseases. And there is solid evidence that slugs avoid crossing a band of coffee grounds. Not repelled by smell. They physically do not like moving across the texture. A ring of grounds around a young hosta or a lettuce plant stops slug damage cold. 30 to 50 pounds a day going in the trash at the cafe 2 blocks from your house. Free nitrogen, free organic matter, free slug barrier. Number 4, wooden pallets. And there is one thing you must know before you touch a single one. Look at the stamp on the wood before you take any pallet anywhere. You are looking for 2 letters, HT. That stands for heat treated. It means the wood was sterilized with heat to kill pests and pathogens. Nothing else. That is the only pallet that comes near your garden. If you see MB on the stamp, that stands for methyl bromide, a toxic fumigant that persists in the wood. That pallet stays in the dumpster, no exceptions. If there is no stamp at all, leave it. You cannot know what it was treated with. HT pallets that are clean and solid have more uses in a garden than almost any other free material. Stand one vertically against a fence, staple landscape fabric across the back between the slats, fill with soil, and you have a wall planter for herbs, strawberries, or shallow greens that takes up 0 ground space. Lay 2 flat and stack one on top, and you have a raised bed frame. 4 pallets arranged in a square give you 12 square feet of growing bed for free. Ask at the receiving dock of any hardware store, home improvement center, feed store, or business that receives large deliveries. Do not ask at the front desk. Find the people unloading trucks. They are the ones who know what is going spare, and they will tell you to take as many as you want. Number 5, burlap sacks. And this one surprises people every time. Specialty coffee roasters receive raw green coffee beans in large burlap sacks, 50 to 100 pounds each. Once the beans are emptied, the sacks have no commercial use, and most roasters have a growing pile of them with nowhere to go. Feed stores and grain mills are the same. Ask at the counter. You will rarely hear no. A burlap sack filled with potting mix and folded at the top is a fabric planter that breathes in a way plastic containers cannot. When roots reach the edge of the container and hit air, they stop and branch back inward. This is called air pruning, and it creates a dense, fibrous root system that is significantly healthier than the circling roots you get in a plastic pot. Commercial nurseries sell fabric grow bags for $8 to $15 each. You are getting the same function in a material that is stronger, biodegradable, and costs nothing. Lay one flat, and it is a weed barrier that breaks down into the soil after 2 or 3 seasons without leaving any synthetic residue. Cut into strips, it is the best material you can use for tying and staking. Strong enough to hold a heavy tomato vine, soft enough not to cut into the stem. A length of burlap strip around a tomato plant does what a $50 tomato cage does with less hassle and 0 cost. Number 6. Bora de café já falamos. Newspaper. And the reason most people avoid this is based on information that has been wrong for 30 years. Most people will not put newspaper in their garden because they think the ink is toxic. That was true in the 1970s. The EPA imposed regulations, the industry responded, and by the 1990s, virtually all newspaper printing had moved to soy-based and water-based inks. Regular newsprint is completely safe in your garden. The one exception is glossy magazine inserts. Leave those out. Everything else is fair use. Layered 5 to 10 sheets thick and wetted down. Newspaper blocks light as effectively as cardboard and conforms to uneven ground, even better because it is more flexible. Use it between rows as a weed-suppressing path cover. Use it around newly transplanted seedlings to retain moisture during establishment. It breaks down faster than cardboard, which makes it better for applications where you want the material gone by end of season. Roll a few sheets around a cylinder, fold the bottom closed, fill with seed starting mix, and you have a biodegradable seed starting pot that goes directly in the ground at transplant time. The roots push straight through as it breaks down. 0 transplant shock. Market gardeners have been doing this for generations. Shredded newspaper in a compost pile is one of the best carbon layers you can add. And if you run a worm bin, it is outstanding bedding. Worms work through it faster than almost any other material, and it holds moisture exactly right. Local print shops and community newspapers have end rolls. The last few hundred feet of a newsprint roll that is not long enough to run through a press. One end roll gives you hundreds of square feet. Call and ask. They will almost always have one. None of this requires much. A phone call. A conversation at the right counter. Showing up at the receiving dock instead of the front door. Every store on this list is doing this anyway. You are just redirecting it before it hits the dumpster. Drop in the comments and tell me which one of these you are going after first. And if you have already been picking up free materials from stores, tell me what you have found that I did not cover here. Some of the best tips I have put out on this channel came from the comments section. If this opened your eyes to something useful, hit subscribe. Because every week I put out something that saves you real money on real problems. Last week, it was the $1 powder that eliminates an entire roach colony overnight. The week before that, the $12 underground system that pulls free drinking water from the air. Everything works, everything is cheap, and none of it requires depending on anyone. Earl out.